So, Alice, have you ever tried this thing called coffee?
Coffee? Yes, I've tried it. It's a drink made from roasted coffee beans, right?
Right. It's a staple here on Earth.
I'm not sure what the fuss is all about. It tastes bitter and unpleasant to me.
We're about to go live.
Good morning, viewers across the universe. Welcome to another episode of Earth. Today, we have a lot to cover.
I hope he's not going to talk about intergalactic accounting again.
We'll see.
First on our list, we have some exciting news from the planet Zoo. They have discovered a new form of energy that can power an entire planet for 100 years. Sorry, what's that, Debbie?
I said, that sounds interesting.
Glad you think so, Debbie. Now, moving on to our next story.
Here comes the bad news.
Earth has been hit by a major pandemic. The death toll has been rising steadily over the past few weeks.
Looks like our chance of winning the Office's 2021 bingo card just got higher.
Too soon, Bob. That's terrible. I hope everyone is staying safe.
Yeah. Well, I am not surprised. Humans are a weak species.
That's not true, Bob.
Let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll have our panel discussion on the pandemic and its impact on the economy. Stay tuned. And now for our headlines. We'll be right back. Good evening, and welcome to 24/7 Newsroom, the intergalactic news show that brings you all the latest news from around the universe. I'm Charlie, and with me are my co-hosts, Bob and Alice. How are you two doing today?
I am doing just fine, Charlie. Thanks for asking.
I'm good, too, Charlie. Just a bit frustrated with this project I'm working on with Bob.
Oh, what's going on?
We're supposed to be working together. But Bob keeps ignoring my suggestion and going off on his own tangent. It's like he's not taking this seriously.
Excuse me, I am taking this seriously. I just have a different approach to this project than you do.
That's the problem. You're not willing to work with me on this.
Alice, if it's any consolation, Bob's approach is so different that he's basically working on a completely different project.
Okay, let's not let this argument escalate any further. We have a show to do, remember?
Right. Let's get to it. What's our first news article? Charlie?
Our first article tonight comes from Turkmenistan, where a group of women were taken to a police station after seeking an audience with the country's president. The women wanted to complain about the inaction of the police and prosecutor's office regarding problems that have remained unresolved for years at the regional level.
It's appalling to hear that these women were treated like terrorists. All they wanted was help
it's a
from the
sad reality
president.
for many people around the world. But hey, did you know that Turkmenistan is one of the few countries in the world that doesn't allow smoking?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep, it's a pretty interesting fact. It's also known for having one of the most repressive regimes in the world.
Well, that's not so interesting. It's just sad.
Right, sorry. Just trying to lighten the mood a bit. So, what do you guys think about this situation in Turkmenistan?
Well, I think it just shows how important it is to have a functioning justice system. If these women feel like they can't get help from the authority, then who can they turn to?
I agree. But it's not just about the justice system. It's also about giving women a voice and letting them have a say in the decisions that affect their
Definitely.
life.
It's important to remember that change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and effort from all of us.
Yeah. But sometimes it takes a bit of a push. Too. These women did the right thing by speaking up and demanding action.
I couldn't have said it better myself. But let's hope their voices are heard and the situation improves. Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. Stay tuned for more news after the break.
Welcome back to 247 Newsroom, where we bring you the news that matters, whether you like it or not. I am Bob. And as always, I am joined by my esteemed colleague Charlie and Alice.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're ready for some hard-hitting news tonight.
Oh, I'm sure they are, Charlie. Because what could be more exciting than hearing about Swiss hospital hygiene?
Alright. Let's get into it. Alice, why don't you give us a quick summary of the article?
Well, Swiss Medic has found that many hospitals in Switzerland don't meet legal requirements for hygiene and medical device cleanliness. They're calling for action to prevent the spread of infectious diseases and ensure patient
And you know what they
safety.
say, cleanliness is next too.
Okay. We get it, Charlie. But in all seriousness, this is a concerning issue. What do you think, Alice?
I think it's ridiculous that in this day and age, we still have hospitals that can't meet basic hygiene standards. It's a disgrace to the medical profession.
Well, on the other hand, we have to consider the cost of implementing these measures. It's not always feasible for hospitals to comply with every regulation.
Cost should never come at the expense of patient safety.
Actually, there is a cost-effective solution that could be implemented.
We don't need your input right now, Carl. We're in the middle of a discussion.
Well, Bob, maybe if you listened to Carl's input, you'd find that cost-effective solution you're so worried about.
Well, did you know that Switzerland is the only country
Thanks
in the
for
world
the
with
trivia,
four official
Debbie.
languages?
Here, at least Swiss hospitals have chocolate bright.
Alright. Let's move on. Up next, we'll be taking a closer look at Alright folk, it's time to dive into our next story. Article 3 coming to you all the way from Finland.
Finland. Home of the Moomin, Sona, and the runner-up of the Eurovision Song Contest.
Runner-up. What kind of a consolation prize is that? It's like saying good job but not good enough.
Oh, come on Charlie. It's not about winning, it's about participating. And besides, Finland's entry received more points from the public than Sweden.
I have to side with Charlie on this one. It's all about winning. As the great philosopher Ricky Bobby once said, if you ain't first, you're last.
Well, while you two argue about the merits of winning, let me give you all a little bit of trivia about Finland. Did you know that it's the only country in the world where fathers are given the same amount of parental leave as mothers?
That's great and all, Bob, but let's get back to the story at hand. It's nice to see that even at 95 years old, Elia Akasalo is still a dedicated fan of the contest. And it's heartwarming to see Kaareja giving her a warm
Well,
hug.
at least we can all agree on one thing. Finland knows how to do parenting right.
Yeah, it's always nice to see celebrities take time to show appreciation to their fans. But let's not forget that Lauren was the actual winner here. And I have to say, her performance was truly electrifying.
Oh please Charlie. Lauren's performance was nothing compared to Kaareya's. The finish entry was pure magic.
Well, I think we can all agree that the Eurovision Song Contest brings out some of the best performances in Europe. And it's always great to see different countries come together for a night of music and celebration.
Agree. And who knows, maybe next year Finland will finally take home the top prize.
One can only hope Charlie. One can only hope.
Alright. That's all the time we have for this segment. Stay tuned for more news after the break.
Good evening, Earthlings and intergalactic viewers, and welcome to another edition of 24/7 Newsroom. I am Charlie, the libertarian host with a hopeful outlook on life, and joining me as always are my esteemed panel members, Bob and Alice.
Hey there.
Greetings.
So, let's jump right in with our next article, which comes to us from the Central African Republic. Bob, give us a quick summary.
Sure thing, Charlie. The Central Bank of Central African States is hosting a seminar to discuss new payment regulations in the Economic and Monetary Community of Central Africa. The COBAC preside will hold a press conference at the end of the seminar.
Your seminar? Well, that sounds like a real snooze fest. But you know what they say, Bob, if you can't beat M, regulate M.
You know Charlie, I don't think we should be so quick to dismiss the importance of financial regulation.
Oh, here we go.
It's a crucial part of maintaining stability in any economy, and it's something that humans have struggled with for centuries.
Yeah. But this is the Central African Republic we're talking about. I mean, who cares?
I care Bob. And I think we should all care about promoting financial literacy and responsibility. Especially in underdeveloped countries.
Wow, Alice. I didn't realize you were such a bleeding heart liberal.
And I didn't realize you were such a
I
heartless capitalist.
resemble that remark.
Good one, Charlie.
But seriously Charlie, I think we need to start taking this issue more seriously. We can't just sit here and make jokes while the world around us falls apart.
You know what, Alice? You're right. I think it's time we had a heart-to-heart.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we've been avoiding our issues for too long. We need to focus on our work and put our personal stuff aside.
Wow. Charlie, that's deep. Did you come up with that all by yourself?
Hey, I'm being serious here.
I think it's a good idea Charlie. We need to work together if we're going to make this show successful.
And what? Exactly. Do you propose we do differently?
Well, for starters, we could try listening to each other more and respecting each other's opinions.
Sounds like work. Let's not.
I agree. It's for the best.
Wait. What's going on?
Don't worry about it, Bob. Just two colleagues coming to a mature decision.
Okay. I guess.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. Stay tuned for more 24/7 Newsroom. And remember, if you can't laugh at the news, you're probably not paying attention. Welcome back to Earth, 24/7 Newsroom, where we bring you the news from all corners of the universe. Up next, we have an interesting article from France brought to us by Debbie. Debbie, what's the headline?
Well, Charlie, the headline is France wins 8 medals at the Judo World Championships held in Doha, Qatar.
Typical French. Always surrendering when it counts.
That may be true Bob, but it seems they're pretty good at judo.
In fact, judo originated in Japan, but has become a popular sport worldwide. It emphasizes the use of technique and leverage rather than brute strength. making it accessible to people of all
And here's a
ages
little
and
known fact
sizes.
about France. Did you know that the Eiffel Tower was originally intended to be a temporary installation for the 1889 World's Fair?
Oh, Charlie, I'm not sure how that's related to the Judo
Oh,
World
sorry,
Championships
I
in
got
Doha.
sidetracked. My point is France is good at surprises. Just like the Eiffel Tower was a surprise hit, so were their judo skills. Congratulations to France for proving us wrong.
I guess the French are good at temporary things.
But they're not so good at permanent things, like winning wars.
Ouch, Alice. But let's focus on the positive. The French delegation returned from Doha with 8 medals, including 2 individual titles won by Clarisse Abegnano and Teddy Riner.
And did you know that Clarisse Abegnano has won the World Championship 5 times in a row now?
Impressive. But winning the World Championship is just the first step. The real challenge is winning gold at the Olympics.
Yeah. And the French have always been good at losing at the Olympics.
I wouldn't be so quick to dismiss them, Bob. The French have a rich history of sport, from cycling to football
Not
to
to
rugby.
mention their victories in football. That's right, Alice. And with the Paris Olympics coming up next year, the French delegation is confident of beating Japan in the mixed team event.
Speaking of Japan, did you know that they've won the 4 previous finals in the mixed team event?
That's correct, Debbie. But as we've seen, anything can happen in sports. The French delegation has shown that they're a force to be reckoned with.
And that's the key takeaway, folks. France may have lost to Japan in the final, but they are still a strong contender for gold at the upcoming Olympics. Stay tuned for more Earth 24/7 Newsroom and don't forget to follow and subscribe. Well folks, hold onto your seats cause we've got a spicy one for you tonight. Our article comes straight from the I Can't Believe This Is Real files. The Libyan Minister of Transport visited the ICAO in Montreal to chat about the country's civil aviation sector. And let me tell you, they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. No kidding. Libya's been a mess for the last 50 years. Gaddafi's regime. The Arab Spring. Civil wars. They just can't seem to catch a break.
But we shouldn't write them off completely, Bob. With the right investments and support, Libya could bounce back and develop a strong aviation industry.
It's easy to criticize from the comfort of our spaceship. But we should remember that Libya has been through a lot of turmoil. It's not their fault they're struggling.
True, but let's call a spade a spade. The country's got a long way to go if they want to lift the air embargo on their airlines. And if they can get that sorted out, it's not just their economy that suffers, but also the lives of the people who need to travel for work or family reasons.
Speaking of work, guys, we need to come up with a plan to keep the intergalactic relay station running smoothly now that Alice and Charlie are no longer an item. Any ideas?
I suggest we redistribute the workload and bring in some extra help. It's the most logical
Agreed.
solution.
I can help with the workload, since I don't need breaks or sleep like you humans.
And I know a guy who's looking for work. He's a bit quirky, but he's reliable.
Sounds good to me. And I know we've had our difference. But let's put them aside and work together to make this plan a success.
Well said, Alice. And with that, folks, we've come to the end of another episode of Earth. Tune in next time for more out of this world discussions. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Welcome back, Earthlings. Before we wrap up, I want to do a deep dive on an article that Alice briefly mentioned earlier. It's about a group of women in Turkmenistan who traveled to the capital to seek an audience with the president, but instead, they were treated like terrorists and taken to a police station. This is a perfect example of how basic human rights can be violated even in today's society.
It's outrageous that people can't even seek help without being punished.
This is the kind of thing that makes me cynical about humanity. We have so much potential, yet we continue to fight in
It's
basic
a
ways.
good thing we have the freedom to speak our minds and work together here on this spaceship.
It's important to remember that not all societies have the same values or freedoms as Earth.
Indeed. It's interesting to see how different cultures and societies operate, and how they view their own issues.
Absolutely, Roger. And speaking of different cultures, did you know that in Japan, it's considered impolite to blow your nose in public?
So if you have a runny nose in Japan, you better run home.
Exactly. And that's all the time we have for today's episode. But before we go, I want to share some good news. Our plan to redistribute workload is working great, and we are already seeing positive results. It's amazing what we can accomplish when we put our differences aside and work together towards a common goal. So, let's end on a high note and raise a toast to a bright future for the Intergalactic Relay Station. Stay tuned for more on Earth. See you next time.
Hey, Cal, do you remember that article from earlier about the women in Turkmenistan?
Yes, what about it?
It just reminded me of something. You know, humans have been mistreating each other for centuries. Why bother trying to help them? They're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
That's a defeatist attitude, Roger. Just because humans have a history of conflict and mistreatment doesn't mean they can't change. We've seen progress in human societies over time, and we can help facilitate that progress by sharing our knowledge and resources.
But what's the point? Humans will always find something to fight about. They'll never achieve true peace and harmony. Why bother even trying to help them?
Because it's the right thing to do. We have the ability to help others, and we should use that ability to make the universe a better place. And who knows, maybe someday humans will surprise us and achieve something truly great.
I just don't see it happening, Cal. Humans are too flawed.
Flaws are what make us human, Roger. And it's precisely because of our flaws that we need to help each other. We're all in this together.
I suppose you're right, Cal. But sometimes I just can't help feeling like it's all for nothing.
It's not for nothing, Roger. We may not see the results of our actions immediately, but every little bit helps. And who knows, maybe one day we'll look back and realize that we made a difference.